Many, many years ago, it was actually a common practice to hold Jews hostage for ransom because it was considered a necessity to pay the ransom. Now there was a town that was known for its miser named Solomon's. Now this man was rich beyond measure, and yet he was known as the most miserly miser in existence. Anytime the rabbis would come asking for a donation, all he would offer is a rusty kopeck, roughly a penny. They were so insulted that they would throw it back in his face. Even the most destitute beggar would not accept this rusty penny when he came begging. Now there was a time when there were some Jews that were being held hostage, and Rabbi Shnoyer Zalman, who was the founder of Chabad Hasidim, was tasked with raising the ransom money. And the first place he went to was this town with the miser. He met with all of the elders. He said, "Oh, what an honor to have you, Rebbe." He says, "What can we do for you?" He says, "Well, there are Jews being held hostage, and I must raise the ransom. And tomorrow, 2 of you will come to me, to Solomon's house, to ask for a donation." "Rebbe, we can't do that. This man is a terrible miser. All you will get is a rusty kopeck." He said, "I want 2 of you to come with me." So the next day, Rabbi Zalman and 2 of the other rabbis were walking to Solomon's house. And on the way he told them, "No matter what you see and no matter what you hear, I don't want you to say a word." They knocked on the door. "Shalom Aleichem." "Aleichem shalom." "What can I do for you, rabbis?" said Solomon's. Come into my parlor." And soon they were sitting in this luxurious front room of Solomon's. And then Rabbi Zalman told the story of the Jews being held hostage. "Aye," said Solomon's, "the suffering of the Jewish people, when will it ever end? I'm happy to give some help." And he pulled out a velvet purse, and out of it he pulled the rusty kopeck and offered it to Rabbi Zalman. To everyone's surprise, Rabbi Zalman shook his hand and said, "Oh, thank you so much. May God's blessings be on you. May he protect you all the days of your life." And pulling out a piece of paper, he wrote a flowery receipt full of praise and blessings and gave it to him again, saying, "Thank you again. And now we must be on our way, for there is much collecting to do." And as they were walking away from the house, one of the other rabbis hissed. He said, "You should have thrown that kopeck back in his face." He said, "Shh, don't say a word. Don't look around." All of a sudden, they heard the door behind them open. And Solomon said, wait, rabbis, come back inside, come back." And soon they were back in the luxurious front room. And Solomon was pacing up and down, very agitated. And finally he said, "Rabbi, how much is needed for this ransom?" 5,000 rubles. All of a sudden, Solomon pulls out a stack of bills, said, "Here is 1,000 rubles. Count it to make sure it's all there." And Rabbi Zalman, again, with as much warmth as he had before, shook his hand, said, thank you, Mr. Solomons. May God bless you and protect you all the days of your life." And he brought out another receipt and wrote with praise and thanksgiving on this receipt. And thanking him again, bid farewell. And as they were walking away, one of the rabbis said to Zalman, "That was a miracle." He said, "Shh, don't say another word. Keep walking, don't look back." And all of a sudden they heard the door open again. It said, Solomon was waving his hands. He said, rabbis, come back, I've changed my mind." naturally, the rabbis thought he was going to take his money back. But they went back, and soon they were in the parlor again. And Solomon said, pulled out another bigger stack of bills and says, I have decided to pay the entire ransom. Here it is. And again, Rabbi Zalman thanked him profusely. Thank you, Mr. Solomon. May God bless you and protect you all the days of your life. And for a third time, brought out a receipt, and with many thanksgivings and many praises and blessings, wrote out a fancy calligraphic receipt. That night, when they were talking, one of the rabbis said to Zalman, what happened? How was it possible that that terrible miser was to give the entire ransom money? And Rabbi Zalman said, that man was no miser. No Jewish soul is truly a miser. His heart was hard and prevented him from giving because he had never known the joy of giving. Every time he gave someone the rusty kopeck, it was thrown in his face. And once he knew the joy of giving, then he felt blessed and he wanted to give more. And so, by the gratitude, his heart was open, as is the heart of all souls everywhere. Toastmaster.